Some of you guys tell me that my trick shots are boring and that I do it in the same spot, so I drove to my grandma's house and did this. And if you guys could press share other and cancel, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
This might just look like a scrunchy stack of paper, but I assure you it's much more. You see, if I take my hand and rotate the coil clockwise, I get these black cubes. But if I take my hand and rotate counterclockwise, I get these pink cubes. Now I can go back and forth between pink cubes and black cubes and pink cubes and black cubes, or maybe both cubes at the same time. But let's say that's just too many cubes for me. I can just say goodbye to them all together. But perhaps the questions we should be asking aren't necessarily how many cubes are too many. Perhaps the questions we should be asking are, how can you make a cool contraption like this using materials you probably already have in your house? You're going to start up with a square sheet of paper. You'll need several. Now I'm using Post-it notes, but the problem with these is that they're not always exactly square. So if you fold it in half and you notice that there's a little sliver left over, make sure you trim it so it's a perfect square. Go check out part 2. Part 2. Now since I'm using a sticky note, I colored the sticky side for reference. Start by pre-creasing diagonally both ways. Rotate and bring this outer corner to that intersection. And crease. Repeat on the other side. And next, we're going to bring these outer corners to the center. Go ahead and crease and repeat on the other side. Now, if you did it right, you should have created a little square here, and these two folds will intersect at a little point there. We're going to use this as a reference point for the next fold. Bring this point to that reference that we just made and crease. Open that up, and we're going to repeat that on the other side. Again, folding to that reference point. You should have something that looks a little bit like this. Fold this part down. We're going to connect these 2 points and bring this edge to this edge, like so. Do the same to the other side, but we're going to fold it the opposite direction. Go check out part 3. Part 3. Now I actually have 2 different types of cube spirals. So in this one right here, all the pieces are made the same way, and each cube is made up of 2 modules, and then those cubes are glued together, so I have 5 here. And you can only twist it one way. Now this one's a little bit different just because each cube is a mirror of its surrounding cubes. You'll notice how all the folds are zigzagging, whereas on this one they're all parallel. And that's how you get that cool color changing effect. Also for this one, each cube is made of the same color. But let's go ahead and make our first cube. You're going to make a crease at these little triangles here, and these are going to be your gluing flaps. You're going to need 2 modules to make a square. Very, very important, make sure the pieces for each square are exactly identical and that all of the folds are facing the same way. If you're making this model, you're going to want 2 different colors for a single cube. And if you're making this one, go ahead and make them the same color. Go check out part 4. Part 4. Next, you're going to want to undo one of the pieces and turn it over. Notice the orientation of the pieces as I place this one over the other piece. You're going to put a little bit of glue on each of these flaps and fold them over to glue in place. Really make sure that you glue these corners really well. Otherwise, this starts to happen. So I'm gluing those into place. If you turn that over, you'll notice that you've already got half of the cube working for you. This part's a bit tricky, but you're going to lift this flap here and tuck. Do that on the other side too. Lift and tuck. And you guessed it, we're going to glue these in place. And now you've got a single functioning cube. If you want to make one of these, just go ahead and make a bunch of these cubes, and you're going to glue these flap sides together like this, and you'll have a cube spiral. But let's say you want to make this guy. Go check out the last part. Part 5. Now to make this guy, you're going to go ahead and make 3 of these cubes. But you also want to create 3 mirror cubes, and as you can see, this one doesn't look like those. Now to make a mirror piece, you're going to make a module up to this stage. Remember how we folded down and folded this way? Well, we're actually going to fold the other way. And you're going to go ahead and do this on the other side too. Make another piece just like it and fold in those corners. And go ahead and glue like normal. And once that's glued, turn it over and again bring those little edges underneath like so and glue these in place. And now you've got opposite cubes. Go ahead and glue these together. Now keep going until you've reached a satisfactory amount of paper cubes, and you've got yourself a spiral cube. As always, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to share if you made it.
Here he come, here he come, here he come. Eat. Oops, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I touched you. Reeves, you. Don't be angry at me.
Rubber Band Ball Part 9. So a lot of people don't know that it started when this watermelon exploded and left me with this wad of rubber bands. And ever since then I've just been adding on to it, and this is the entire compilation up until now. And I needed more colored rubber bands, so I went to Walmart, but they were out. So I got gas and went to a different Walmart. But they were out too, so I went to another one and they finally had some. Then I went home, dumped out a bag, and then got busy placing the entire pile of rubber bands until I was done. And then I left and came back later. I dumped out the colored rubber bands and placed that entire pile. Then I found some more rubber bands in the floor, placed those, and then placed a bag of thicker rubber bands that I also found in the floor. And I was done. It now weighs 14.7 pounds, is the size of my head, and bounces pretty high. And it's also bigger than a basketball, like if you want me to keep going.
Encore, s'il te plaît, encore. Ah, c'est magnifique.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So these guys are origami wreaths, but honestly I think they look a lot more like ninja stars. But if you want to learn how to make them, keep watching. Start with a sticky note. I colored the sticky side. Pre-crease vertically and horizontally. I'm going to fold these corners of the sticky side to the center to make a house, just like that. I'm going to fold up on this existing crease here. I'm going to fold this edge to fold this width in half. Go ahead and give that a crease. Go ahead and unfold that and you'll have a new crease. Next, you're going to want to create a crease down the center of this width here. Do this by folding this edge to this line. Just like that. I'm actually going to set this down and turn it over to make sure that that crease is flat. And if you open that up, you should have a new crease down that center. Check out part 2. Part 2 of how to make these really cool origami ninja star things out of sticky notes. So far you should have something that looks a little bit like this. Go ahead and make sure you're on the side with the flaps here. We're going to fold up on this crease here. So I'm folding up like this. I'm going to go ahead and turn that over. Next I'm going to go ahead and fold these little ears down, and then I'm going to fold this bottom part up so it looks a little something like this. Now that you've got something that looks like a little hat, we're going to go ahead and flip that over. We're going to fold this edge to this point right here, right at that intersection, and flatten out. It's going to be hard to crease. Open that up and do the same on the other side, right to that intersection. Fold up on those 2 new creases and you've got a finished piece. You're going to want to make 14 of these. Check out the last part. Part 3. So I went ahead and made 14 pieces. 15 works too. So in every piece there is a pocket and a flap. Before you assemble, I think it helps to squish the ends a little bit before you go ahead and insert each flap like so on both sides. And all you gotta do is keep on inserting those pieces until you start to get a full ninja stitch. And of course, the last part is always going to be the trickiest. I like to line them up first, press them in, and there you go. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to share if you made it.
Let's see the car. Let's see the red yellow car. Okay, stay down, stay down, stay down. Stay down, stay down.
That's so cool.
Things teenagers know, but parents don't. Part 1. When you tell us no, and we ask why, we're not giving you attitude. We're asking why you won't let us do something that we ask you to let us do. Stop comparing us to other kids. It hurts. Stop forcing us to be social. That's something that will happen with time. If I hand you my phone for you to look at a picture or for you to look at something I'm trying to show you, that doesn't mean you go through my phone. And if I try to take it back, just because I don't want you going through my phone doesn't mean I have something to hide. Just stop saying, fine, I guess you'll go work at McDonald's the rest of your life every time we argue with you about school. You're just as addicted to technology as we are.